Like, I don't know what else I want to say, but it was, whew. Hi everyone, I'm Morgan.
And I'm Tammy.
And welcome to our channel. Today we're going to talk about our top 4 books that we've read in the first 4 months of 2025. So make sure to let us know what the top books that you've read so far this year in the comments.
Like and subscribe for more bookish and tailored content. Great. Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lentz. This is a memoir. I listened to this book because Bethany Joy does actually read her memoir. This is great if you're a fan of One Tree Hill because she talks about her time on the set there, but it really focuses her time in a cult. So if you love cults, this is definitely one for you. And it's a little bit different of a cult because a lot of them tend to be like Mormon or sex cult. This is a Christian cult and like a small home-based Christian cult. And it was just really interesting to see, how people manipulated the Bible and her into giving them her money and all this stuff. And it's crazy when you hear the story of like what she went through living in Hollywood and still being in the limelight, but also in a cult at the same time. You would think that like those two wouldn't go hand in hand, but they do.
All right, one of mine was They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. This is about a professor who unalives students on campus that have essayed women. And it's just, good for her kind of thriller. And it's so fun. And you're not supposed to like her, but you kind of do. And, it's just a good time.
The Women by Kristen Hanna. This follows the women that were in Vietnam. A theme across the whole book is that that there were no women in Vietnam because there weren't any that were in actual combat, but this follows the nurses and the trauma they went through being right there while bombs were going off, the horrors that they had to deal with as nurses with these soldiers coming in, and kind of how they were treated when they came back. We know a lot of times that the Vietnam veterans were not treated the same way World War II veterans or Korean veterans were treated when they came back. And then especially the women because people, again, didn't want to accept that there were actually women over there and the struggles that they did coming back home, having to deal with the PTSD from being in war. It's a great historical fiction. It is not going to rip your heart out like The Nightingale, but it is definitely a great one if you are into historical fiction.
Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is part of the Chestnut Spring series, and so it is a steamy cowboy romance. And this one has the pregnancy trope, which I did not think was going to be for me, but I just loved Theo. He's just such a great character, and it was spicy. Like, I don't know what else I want to say, but it was...
Down the Drain by Julia Fox. This is another memoir that I listened to. She tells her story from when she comes here to America from Italy at 11 years old and the craziness that she goes through living in New York with parents that just don't really care what she's doing. If you've watched the movie 13 growing up, it's very similar to that, just kind of like the unhingedness she goes through. And then it follows her life up until like when she's dating Kanye and she has her son. And it's just crazy and almost unbelievable, some of the things that she went through. So if you love memoirs, I would definitely say give that a try.
All right, another memoir is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. And this follows the author's experience as growing up as a Black queer boy. And the memoir is read by the author, so it is a great listen if you want to listen to it on audiobook.
And Eleanor Olivant is Completely Fine. This follows Eleanor, who is definitely a loner. She is okay with her life. She's a little bit judgy, but just like in her own head, she's judgy. But sometimes out loud, she says things that you're like, that could have just kept in your head. She doesn't have any friends, and she has this mother that is terrible. And so it follows her kind of life, and she finally meets a friend, and how this friend has helped her come out of her shell and kind of come to grips of like why she is the way that she is, and like the trauma that led to her being this abnormal girl. I went from thinking I was going to DNF this book to it being a 4.5 at the end. I really liked it, and I think I will think about Eleanor a lot.
All right, the last book for me is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinbro. This is a thriller about a woman who goes to a bar, kind of hooks up with this guy, and then the next day finds out that he is her new boss. And then later on that week meets this woman, becomes friends with her, and then finds out that that's her boss's wife. So it's just a crazy time. It's so much fun. I absolutely loved it. And again, just another unhinged main character.
If you've made it this far in our video, leave us the calendar emoji in the comments below.